Fellow Biafrans, my name is Biafra Superstars Media. It's up in the air that some of the so-called witnesses wearing masks in the court case of Nnamdi Kanu, that one of them is Uwazuruike. We heard he was wearing a mask where he gave a false narrative, a false witness against Nnamdi Kanu. That's something I will deal with personally in the next video. Because the cable we are hearing is that Uwazuruike and his men were some of those that wore masks in the court case of Nnamdi Kanu. That's the gossip we are hearing. That's the rumor we are hearing. For now, I want us to listen to the analysis of our good brother, our friend, our comrade, the one they call the Biafran golden child, as he goes in depth on what actually happened in the case of Nnamdi Kanu yesterday, or the 29th of May, April 2025. Listen to the analysis and it will blow your mind. But for Uwazuruike, I will come back and do a part 2. Between me and you, we shall discuss as man to man. Because what we are hearing is that you are one of those that wore a mask to be a false witness against Nnamdi Kanu. Fellow Biafrans, without any much further ado, I present to you the Biafran golden child. Thank you.
Yeah, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, depending on where you're hearing my voice from. This is the Biafran golden child, and first of all, let me say happy new month of May to every Biafran, happy new month of May to every freedom lover, happy new month of May to every Southeast origin. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm super glad to once again interact with you, especially at this first day of the month. First day of the month of May. We have ascended to the fifth calendar of this fifth month in the calendar of this world. And I wish you all well. I wish you progress. I wish you good health of mind and body. I wish you success. And above all, I pray that, everything Biafra will receive, glorious and successful, opportunities this month. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure to interact with you this morning. I'm glad and I'm happy, that we're all alive, we're all healthy and strong. We're all looking forward to a better tomorrow. Welcome on board the Biafra Superstars Media. Welcome to May, 1st of May, 2025. Yeah, the audio of this morning is a very serious one. I want to make an overview of, the trial on Tuesday. The trial on Tuesday, May 29th, April 29th. The trial of none other than Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on Tuesday, April 29th at the Federal High Court 7, Abuja, under, His Lordship, Justice James Omotosho. Yes, Justice James Omotosho. I know it might be quite obvious. Yes, a lot of us might have, heard or read about how that trial went. We all saw what transpired. But I just want to make a brief overview of it, just in case some of you are not aware, in case some of you didn't get the full details. Yeah, the truth of the matter, ladies and gentlemen, is that James Omotosho has shown, of course, what he is known for. Yeah, this is a man who always dances, he's always in tandem with the powers that be. He's always, all out. We said it from the very beginning. We said James Omotosho, we know his antecedents. He's always out to satisfy the power blocks, the cabal that, put him there. He's always there to satisfy, the cabal that are always using him, to achieve their very, very uncanny ambitions. Ladies and gentlemen, people have mentioned those who were there, those who were inside the courtroom. Yes, it was exclusive, but we have gathered a lot of things that transpired there. You cannot talk about the trial of a personality like Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, and you want to shroud it in secrecy. You want to hide it. You want to keep the information from the public, especially the teeming millions of Biafrans who are interested in this matter. Especially, of course, because you know the international community are interested in the matters concerning Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. You know that the United States, the European community, Canada, even Asian countries, including new superpowers like China and Japan are interested. You of course know that Great Britain, even though Britain has always played lip service to issues concerning Nigeria, you know of course that Britain is concerned to some extent because of course most of you know, or maybe you have realized by now, that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu is equally a British citizen. That is to say, he also has a British passport. So, ladies and gentlemen, May 29th was the day fixed for his retrial. I mean, since, the second, call it the second missionary journey in his travel, in his trials. Because, of course, when Justice Binta Mortala Nyako, recused herself from, the trial of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you know, of course, a new judge had to be appointed. Motala, Justice Binta Motala Nyako recused herself from Mazi Nnamdi's trial because Mazi Nnamdi came up vociferously and, you know, he came up loud and clear. He came out plain. He didn't waste time to call a spade a spade. He said, I will not get justice from this woman. From the way and manner she's going about this trial, from the way the questioning she's doing, from the kind of evidence she's insisting on having. I seem to see a premeditated, conclusion. The matter is like Justice Binta Motala Nyako is out to nail me in the cross. She doesn't hide it. She doesn't like me. I would prefer to be taken to a court in the southeast where the so-called terrorism charges emanate from. I would prefer to be, under trials under justices from the southeast who knows where I'm coming from, who knows the antecedents before and after of Biafra, who knows the remote and immediate causes of Biafra, and of course why people like me are now agitating for the United States of Biafra. Yes, for the exclusive, redeclared, sovereign United States of Biafra. When Mazi Nnamdi said that it seemed Justice Binta Motala Nyako had a personal agenda. She seemed to have an agenda, to convict me, to serve purposes desired by those who are holding her husband, former governor of Adamawa State, Vice Marshal Moritala Nyako, and her son. She wants to use me, yes, as the bait to get those who are after her husband, those who have her husband and son, to release all charges. Fortunately, I will not take it lying low. So, Mazi, Onyendu Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, shut it out. He shut it all out. Yes, he hit it right on the head. Told them, I don't care whose ox is God. I don't care who is in charge. I don't care what this will do to me. But as far as Justice Binta Motala Yako is there, is sitting, at the apogee of my trial, is the justice who is trying me, who is the umpire of my trial. I will not cooperate. I will not be judged under her. So thanks be to God. Eventually, the chief judge, you know, moved the case, transferred it to Justice James Omotosho. you know, in Federal High Court 7 at Abuja. Ladies and gentlemen, you all recall that when Justice James Omotosho took over Mazi Nnamdi's trial, some of us did come out to, tell the world about his antecedents. We told the world that Justice James Omotosho had been known to be a card-carrying member. If he's not a card-carrying member of any party, he has sympathies. He has sympathies. He has empathy for some political powers. If you don't know, now you know. And every time he does his judgments, he seems, to ally. He seems to, want to favor, those who pay his bills. And we said, you can imagine what happened in Port Harcourt. Yes, most of the cases involving the serving governor, Fubara, Similaya Fubara, and his ex-wife, godfather, former governor of River State, and now FCT minister, Nyesom Wike. We saw a lot of wranglings. We saw a lot of politically motivated judgments. We even saw where 27 House of Assembly members, in Port Harcourt who defected from the PDP to APC in broad daylight, that was fully documented, fully evidenced, recorded by the mass media, social media, national televisions, newspapers. How, of course, the same courts, that were adjudicated by people, justices like James Omotosho, came out to say there was no such thing. There was no such proof that those 27 House of Assembly members actually defected. When we saw what happened, when we saw the kind of judgments that ensued from people like James Omotosho, federal high court judges, we just felt, well, this moving this case over to James Omotosho may not give us what we wanted. And when we said it here, a lot of people thought, here they come again. They will not let this man do his job. They will not let him, James Omotocho, even start his trial. They have started accusing him. They have started reading meanings. These Biafra people, who will satisfy them? When will they be satisfied? The trial has not even started. They started crucifying Justice James Omotosho. But ladies and gentlemen, James Omotosho's the trial. Of course, when the matter started, yes, we heard about apologies and counter apologies. We heard about how Chief Kanu Agabi, two-time Attorney General of the Federation, and now representing everything about the legal needs of Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, was now in charge of his defense. And we saw how he went to the court under Justice Omotosho. He tried to make sure, first of all, that the court had a human face, that the court maintained decorum. He insisted on apologizing, on behalf of, the people of Biafra, on behalf of IPOB, on behalf of his client, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, saying, look, we want everything to be well. We want everything to be justified. We want justice and fair pay to prevail. We want the rule of law to be respected in this court. Justice James Omotosho, on behalf of my client, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, on behalf of the people of IPOB, on behalf of the people I represent, I say sorry if there's any way we have, created, disequilibrium in this court. Equally, we also have Justice James Omotosho, apologized to, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, telling him that he really hurt him, that he had to stay all this long time facing a trial. He said it hurt him that this trial has been off and on, and he knows that has affected his health, it has affected his well-being. He's sorry on behalf of the federal government, and is promising that this court would respect the rule of law. This court will maintain its integrity. In this court, fairness, equity, and justice shall prevail. That was what Justice James Omotosho promised at the very first hearing. Eventually, he shifted the matter to April 29th, Tuesday, April 29th, which was the second hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to shock you. I want to shock you that unfortunately, during that second hearing on Tuesday, May 29th, we were shocked when Justice James Omotosho allowed to be called into witness box by, you know, the people representing the government of Nigeria. Yes, yes, but Justice James Omotosho permitted masked men, ghost men, people who had, you know, whose faces were partially covered, so that they would not be recognized, they would not be identified, they would not be known. They were permitted under Justice James Omotosho's court to come and give evidence for the prosecuting Nigerian uh, government representatives. Ladies and gentlemen, we were surprised when we saw masked men. We were surprised when we saw people who came out, the guys that they were DSS operatives. They didn't want to be identified. The nature of their job is secrecy. They didn't want to be known. Therefore, they should be allowed. They should be allowed to give their evidence against Mazi Nnamdi Kanu on oath, but wearing masks, so that they cannot be identified after today, after that day in the court. Ladies and gentlemen, that's to show you, you know, that this government in the zoo has descended even further lower. We didn't know, we know they had descended, we know they were a zoo, but we didn't know now they had become faceless. Can you imagine, ladies and gentlemen, somebody coming to give evidence in a court of such magnitude, in a case involving an international, you know, personality, a leader of the Biafran IPOB movement, uh, Onyendo Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, were in, you know, hoods. They were in their hood. They came out from their hood, hooded up with blindfolds, so that nobody identifies them. James Omotosho, Justice James Omotosho, gave them the leeway, gave them the legal, you know, clarity, the legal permission, the legal getaway to wear masks. And of course, these two men who decided, you know, to use AKAs for their names in a federal high court of such magnitude came, and what were they saying? Ladies and gentlemen, can you beat this? The first man came and said, I was the one who arrested. I was among the panel, the team that arrested Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, you know, at, at his hotel. We arrested him. We got him at that hotel. And when we got there, we saw him with a woman. There was a lady with him. When we arrested Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, there was a lady with him. I mean, we saw 4 suitcases. We arrested him with 4 suitcases. And I can tell you what was inside those suitcases. They were his clothes, they were this, they were recording devices, there were apparatus there that he seemed to be using for his radio Biafra. And of course, there was toothbrush, there was dye for his hair. We saw different caps, we saw shoes. Ladies and gentlemen, I beg your pardon. What masked men came out to try to say in a high court, in a federal high court, with international observers, with local and international observers, was that Mazi Nnamdi Kanu was seen with a lady. He had 4 suitcases, toothbrushes, hair dyes, brushes for his hair, shoes, brush for his shoes, phones, laptops, recording apparatus, possibly for his radio Biafra. Ladies and gentlemen, can you hear what I'm hearing? These people arrested the suitcase with somebody's personal belongings. Personal belongings. A man who was traveling from one location to another. He had his personal belongings, and you searched and arrested him and confiscated these things. And Justice James Omotosho allowed those things to be put as evidence. They were put as evidence. They did not see AK-47. They did not see bomb making apparatus. They did not see explosive devices. And yet they charged this man for terrorism. And yet they said this man, if you allow him, is going to make Nigeria totally ungovernable. This is the man that is responsible for making the Southeast ungovernable. They did not see explosive devices. They did not see hand grenades. They did not see AK-47 or shotguns. What they told us they saw, and which was permitted to be kept in evidence, was toothpaste, toothbrush, clothes, pajamas, brushes, laptops, phones, recording devices, shoes. They should have equally brought the lady and kept her as evidence. They should have put it as exhibits. Ladies and gentlemen, you can imagine what this zoo country has turned to. You can imagine a trial of this nature for a man who is peace loving, a man who spoke about the plight of his people, a man who said, look, let my people be. A man who said, look, enough is enough. You have treated my people like second class enough. Let my people be. He didn't shoot anybody. He didn't bomb anybody. He did not machete any person. And they said they were putting those things as Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit D, Exhibit C, 4 suitcases concerning his personal, his briefs, his pajamas, his boxers, his toothpaste and toothbrush. Let us say, I don't know how we have descended. This zoo has actually descended so low. In fact, when Chinua Achebe said there was a country, he meant it. The country called Nigeria has gone. How can people descend so low? How can people operate in this lowest level of oppression? The zoo, the animal farm is better than the animal rat race is better than this zoo. I hope you did hear. Did you hear the part where the sister-in-law of Onyendo Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, the wife of his younger sister, had her phone seized? Justice James Omotosho ordered that her phone be seized when the court has almost finished sitting, just because she wanted to get a brief memento for people like us, for Biafrans to see. Yes, to see Onyendo in the court. She wanted to get a little video. When the matter, the court had already almost dismissed. They were making final adjournments for May 2nd. Justice James Omoto equally raised his eyes and screamed, "Get that phone from that woman! Get her! We shall soon charge. If you're not careful, madam, we'll charge you for contempt of court." That is James Omoto in his element, in his full element as the justice in High Court 7. Because of course he had to create the drama. He had to create the drama for those who are paying him. He had to create the drama for his masters. A young lady, the wife of Mazi Nnamdi's younger brother, was harassed, threatened, and her phone confiscated to this day because she wanted to record a memento for Biafrans to see their maximum later in court and to know what transpired. She wanted us to see that the men who gave evidence were wearing hoods. Who wears hoods in Nigeria? Are they not the armed robbers, the kidnappers, the body harvesters, those who stop cars and march every passenger into the bush? Now Justice James Omotosho permitted so-called DSS operatives that even our maximum leader could not recognize. They were having hoods covering their faces, and their voices were muffled up with phones so that they would not be recognizable to any person who knows them because they are DSS operatives. Ladies and gentlemen, this cannot happen in advanced climes. Whether you're an SS security agent in the USA, you're a CIA agent, you're in the FBI. When it matters like this, when things concerning terrorism is being tried in a court, you come out with your full face open. Nobody hides it. Nobody hides in the court of law. The court of law is no respecter of persons, no matter how highly placed, no matter the secrecy of their jobs. Ladies and gentlemen, you can imagine witnesses were called by the prosecuted judges, lawyers, and they brought men hooded up, whose faces were, that means we have decided to a gangster's paradise. Yes, the zoo. Nigeria has become a gangster paradise. We are gangsters, of course, they wear hoods, they cover eyes, like pirates, so that they're not recognizable. what happened at Justice James Omotoshaw's court on Tuesday, the 29th of April, was a gangster's paradise. Nothing more, nothing less. But hey, ladies and gentlemen, let me spare the details. You know what the details are. There's no need telling you a blow-by-blow account of what it is. But we are not we are not in any way disillusioned. We are not in any way distracted. We are not in any way intimidated because we know, of course, who is representing our mentor, our leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu. We know who is representing him in the personality of Chief Kanu Agabe, two-time attorney general of this federation. He's not a man of only little minions. No, he doesn't settle for less. Of course, he allowed Justice James Omoto to have his way. He allowed the prosecuting attorneys have their way, and he let them, of course, present these gangster witnesses, for want of better words. But we are waiting. They are meeting on 2nd May. 2nd May is just tomorrow, Friday. Let us see how this gangster paradise, gangster court, high court. Let's see what happens next, because this gangster paradise that this country has become is terribly a laughing stock in the Committee of Nations in the world. Nigeria has become a gangster paradise where, except you know the high and mighty, you will not survive. Where, except you are connected to the government in power, you can't feed your family. Where poverty and lack has become the order of the day. Where is a rat race? Kill and kill, kill or be killed. Where is a question of jumping political parties overnight? Today you are in PDP as a governor, tomorrow you wake up, you are in APC because you want to belong, because you want to be assured of 2027. Old men jumping from political parties where they were elected, jumping to other political parties because they want to remain in currency. They want to remain, with the government in power. They want to be relevant. They want their food anywhere belly face. That's what it is. Politicians have become anywhere belly face. Today is the PDP, is the PDP, tomorrow is APC. Everybody has seen the Jagaban, whose son came out to say nothing can stop his father in 2027, not even God. Everybody has seen the Jagaban, who unilaterally and illegally, against the law, declared the state of emergency in Port Harcourt. And of course, the rubber stamp National Assembly, headed by the Calabar Akwa Ibom man, who is always in his characteristics as an Akwa Ibomite. Of course, the rubber stamped it. They stamped it for him. Say, yes, the state of emergency declared in Rivers State is legitimate. Yes, but what are we saying? Or even the killings in Benue, Plateau, Enugu, Osun, Kebbi State, Nasarawa, Kaduna, killings in the Kogi State, killings every day by Fulani jihadists. Nobody declared a state of emergency. Nobody is talking about it. But Port Harcourt that was peaceful. Port Harcourt that all you needed to do was call the two elephants fighting. The former governor, who is now a city minister, Uwazuruike, and the current governor, who Uwazuruike is insisting that he was the one who put in there, and he has to dance to his tunes. Similaya Fubara. All you needed was to call them together and make peace for them, and the state will move on. What did Jagaban do in the zoo country, in the gangster paradise? Of course, he appointed a sole administrator from the Navy, a retired naval commander, to come and take over for 6 months. Instantly, he jettisoned the fully democratically elected governor and his vice and his deputy. He jettisoned the National Assembly and told them that they're on suspension for 6 months. Unilaterally, the MB has come out to say this is arrant rubbish. Nigerian Bar Association, this is arrant rubbish. Every person, well-meaning, in fact, people in Nigeria have come to say, even international world, lawyers in Port Harcourt, lawyers to the protests in Port Harcourt, and they are calling Donald Trump, the 47th president of the United States, to call the Jagaban to order, to call Emilio to order, the clueless president to order, that what he did in Port Harcourt should be rescinded. He should bring back a democratically elected governor, Similaya Fubara. They have called the 47th President of United States, Donald Trump, the international community, European community, to come and put a heavy sanctions on the zoo called Nigeria, the gangster paradise. So, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know how many of you listened or watched that so-called trial under James Omoto Show, our Mazi Nnamdi Kanu's trial on Tuesday, 29th April. That trial was rubbish, arrant rubbish. It was just the fact that Justice Omoto Show wanted to show his power, allowing gangsters to parade themselves as witnesses. That was gangsters' paradise. But we're looking forward to May 2nd. Let's see if this gangster continues. If they continue this gangster paradise, then of course we'll come out en masse. We'll come out en masse and show them, yes, the people of Biafra don't belong to a gangster. We're not gangsters. We don't belong to a gangster's paradise. We don't promote hoodlums. We don't promote hooded men, pirates, to come in court and administer witnesses or justice to us. No. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a brand new month. I don't want us to, dwell on things that consist of negativities. I want to believe that this month will be bright. Tomorrow is the 2nd. Please stay at home or be attuned to whatever media you can to get the latest informations on the third day of the trial, the third trial. We're going to see how it goes. We're watching. If they bring this so-called charade anymore, if they bring this card anymore, this facade, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to let it out to them. We'll give it to them as it is. We say it the way it is. We don't call a spade an agricultural instrument. We call it a spade. You call a spade a spade. Then everybody will not be in doubt as to what you mean. Ladies and gentlemen, it's a pleasure talking to you. I don't want to go into more details because, of course, the details are unknown to you guys. But what I'm saying is this gangster's paradise, these zoo governments must stop. This rat race must stop. Enough is enough. Enough is enough. Nigeria has descended even further from the zoo down to a gangster's paradise. God bless you all. Pray for, of course, our Deputy Prime Minister, Dr. Ngozi Oreboweze. Pray for, Prime Minister, Simon Ekpa. Yes, of course, we are still watching what is happening around him. We saw the lies, we saw the deceit from the Nigerian government, trying to, give the impression that they had Finland under their armpit. But of course, the Finnish authorities have since come out and said we have no whatever arrangement with Nigeria. Nobody is extraditing Simon Ekpa. Nobody. And of course, let's pray for the good health of our Muslim leader, Mazi Nnamdi Kanu, as he goes to court tomorrow again under this abysmally undependable, unreliable gangster called Justice James Omoto Show. Ladies and gentlemen, God bless you all. Let's look forward to another record. And the new month, brighten up, things will certainly get better.
Yeah, Biafra. Yeah, Superstar Media. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. I wanna know. Tell me about Biafra. We going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. I wanna know. We're going back to the land. We're going back to the motherland. Biafra. Tell me about Biafra. We're going back to the land. Tell me about Biafra. We're going back to the motherland. Tell me about Biafra. Tell me about Biafra. We're going back to the land.